Good morning. We'll call the Wright County Board meeting of June 20th, 2017 to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning again. We'll start off with the minutes from the 6/13 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that with a couple of little,
Okay, well, let's go through if you have some corrections first.
yep. Under the advisory committee, advisory board updates, under number 2, public works,
What page?
page 4.
Page 4?
Yep.
Okay. Advisory committee up,
Yep.
number 4.
Number 4, second line where it says 11 miles of hot mix, it should be 11,000 ton of hot mix.
Oh, item number 2.
Item 2, I thought you said 4 too, yeah.
No, page 4.
Yeah, page 4, item number 2.
I said item 2 before I said page 4.
And it should be 11 tons?
Yeah,
Okay.
11,000 tons.
11,000
tons
tons.
of hot
You got
mix.
that, Susan? Okay, and then what else?
And then Buffalo Days, the last line, they spell fishing clinic with a K instead of a C.
Oh, they spell clinic with a K?
Yep.
We got to
FK.
get technical on that.
Clinic for
FK.
kids. Yeah, clinic for kids.
Okay, you're okay with those corrections, Mark? Mm-hmm. Okay, so motion by Commissioner Delight, second by Commissioner Hewson with a couple little corrections for the board minutes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Review and approval of the agenda for today. We do have a item that was going to get petitioned on by Brian, and we have one other addition as well.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I had sent an email to the commissioners, I think late last week, regarding, we've got to clean up on a property at 7 Fairway Drive in Monticello. It's a tax forfeit property. I've been in there. It's pretty bad. And we have a couple of quotes. I'd just like the board to authorize Bob to go ahead with that.
Okay. And then, Brian, I do have to mention this, but because we're trying to not petition too much stuff on, is there a time thing that this is real critical?
One of the quotes is available for 15 days, so it's, you know, it's questionable depending on, I think the date of the quote was such that it would go through the end of the month, but I guess I'm not positive on that. One of the reasons we want to kind of rush with this is that we've had complaints from the neighbors, or the city has, I should say.
Okay.
Well, the other thing is too, it's cooler temperatures right now. You wait too long and it gets hot, it's going to really be bad in there.
It's fermenting as we speak.
All right, we'll allow it, but we'll try to stay on with the agenda that way. All right, and then you have another item on here already, Brian?
Yeah, if you want to put it right after that, that'd be
Why
great.
don't we put that
2?
item number 2 under timed items, section B.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we are also graced to have the 2017 Farm Family of the Year here, and we'll have that, I'll put that on the agenda. Somehow it slipped through, but we'll just have that as item A under timed agenda, so we'll put that right at the top. Is that okay, Susan?
Sure.
Okay. Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the modifications.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Delighten. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The consent agenda for today.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Hewson. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. We are 9:05. We actually know, we just put it on whenever. Rod, why don't you come on up and introduce our Farm Family of the Year? This is Rod Greeter from the Extension Office.
Yes, thank you, Board, for making time for us this morning. I apologize for the miscommunication on getting on the agenda, but thank you for making time. We're pleased to honor the Kreitlow and Ford families as the Wright County 2017 Farm Family of the Year. The Farm Family Recognition Program exists to honor farm families from throughout Minnesota for their contributions to the agricultural industry and their local communities. The Wright County Extension Committee selects the farm family each year, and this year recognizes the Kreitlow and Ford farm. Their farm was founded in 1898 by August and Pauline Kreitlow in Middleville Township at the current homestead site. Willard Kreitlow is the third generation and has lived on this land continuously since his birth in the old farmhouse in 1922.
Wow.
Willard began implementing soil and water conservation practices in the 1940s. The farm was primarily dairy until the 1990s, when Willard sold the dairy and continued to grow crops and hay. Willard's daughter, Marianne Kreitlow, moved back to the farm with her husband, Jerry Ford, in 2002, and they began transitioning part of the farm to vegetables and to permanent pasture. All of the land is in soil and water conservation practices. They raise replacement heifers for Stokes Dairy and have a small grass-finished beef herd. There are 43 acres of certified organic pasture for rotational grazing and 2 acres of vegetable land. They grow organic garlic and potatoes for market, plus eggs from layer hens. And how many of you are familiar with the Garlic Festival?
I've heard of it.
We are
Been there?
pleased to have one of the founders and managers of the Garlic Festival in Jerry Ford. So Jerry gets around, as you can tell. Willard Kreitlow is also a founding member of the Wright County Parks Board and served there for over 40 years. He also served on the Soil and Water Conservation District Board for over 40 years. Jerry, as I mentioned with the Garlic Festival, also works for the Sustainable Farming Association of Minnesota. He is also currently working directly with Extension on a research project, what's called a SARE grant, Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Project, targeting how we can improve grazing practices and how we can measure grazing practices. And I'd like to introduce Ellen Sheehan, who is our intern this summer from the University of Minnesota. She's also working with Jerry on this project. And he's also worked with some 4-H programs in the past. Marianne is a professional musician and a rostered teaching artist with the Central Minnesota Arts Board. She serves on the board for the Saturday Awakenings concert series at Buffalo United Methodist Church, and often works with the music program there. And I think you're actually looking for cast members for a play right now, aren't you?
One male whose sight reads really well. Come see me.
I'll volunteer, Charlie.
I'll second that.
So we'd like to recognize the Kreitlow and Ford family as the Wright County 2017 Farm Family of the Year. And we'd love to have a picture.
Yes, we would. This is important.
Okay.
You're all dolled up and looking great.
Yeah. Hide my keys.
Where would you like us?
Up by the board in the middle there.
I know,
Yeah, perfect.
You're not gonna make me read all that here, are you?
You can,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations.
Okay, Crawford Lake. We're, I suppose, Jim Kreitlow, Jim, has one of the original Kreitlow family parks.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, yes.
We never got in touch with them.
We can exit this.
Yes, you can go ahead. It's got one of the original Craigwell cars in this garage.
Okay,
On this way.
sounds good.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rod.
Congratulations.
Bye.
Talk about somebody who's been solid. He's been solid in this county for a
Well,
long
that was
time.
quite a,
Wow.
Very well deserved.
quite a pedigree there to read off,
We
huh?
don't have Adam here, but
Okay, and Adam is not here for IT, requesting an out of travel, state
Sue,
travel.
do you know anything about that one?
I don't. I believe if you recall, I do know a little bit. Last year, if you recall, the board did approve one of the BAs to go to the same kind of conference and training.
Yeah, it was
I
in
believe it's
Florida.
identical to what it had been before, so it's for one of the business analysts to attend.
I'm okay with it if somebody wants to make a motion for it.
I'll make a motion to approve the out-of-state travel, Mr. Chair.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by, I'm going to give that to Mark, Commissioner Delyden. Further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner
Yeah,
Potter.
as I recall, last year when they came back, there was so much information that I was impressed with how much they got out of it for what we paid for going there, and that it was definitely a benefit for the county-wide operations.
yeah, they commented how much they learned. Connie Mae was talking about that at one of our meetings.
Yeah, OnBase is one of our major vendors too, so the more we learn about it, the better off we will be.
Okay, further discussion, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next up, Chief Deputy Attorney Brian Osselson. Good morning, Mr. Osselson.
Good morning. I'm not nearly as handsome as Adam, but I'll do my best. And I am here. The first item is to refer discussion regarding the Drive Right program to a committee of the whole meeting. And I'd be looking at a date, this is as a result of some legislation that's passed. You have a copy of that in your packet.
Snuck in.
I'd be looking for a date next week. Tom Kelly is fishing way up north this week, but should be back next week if there's a time that would work for you.
Can't we do it without him?
I'd just soon he'd be here.
All right.
Do we have anything next Tuesday after the board?
You have county board, and then you have a committee of the whole regarding the coordinator position. You would be free that afternoon.
You go at 1 o'clock or 12:30.
Yeah, I have a 1 o'clock meeting that day, but
Do you have any idea how long the, Mr. Chair, do you have any idea how long the coordinator discussion would
I
take?
wouldn't anticipate it's going to be,
I think,
30 minutes, I'd say
yeah,
at least.
I would think so.
Ours,
Depends how deep we get into it.
Yeah.
It's going to be 30
Well,
minutes
if
to an hour.
you
yeah.
allow an
I would
hour.
say 30 minutes to an hour.
I'd plan for an
Yeah,
hour.
we could do 11:30,
I was wondering about that, because I think ours would be, under a half hour, so.
yeah.
Okay, let's put it on for 11:30 following the coordinator meeting.
And Mr. Chair, actually, if we set it for 11, if we got done with the coordinators one early, we could go right to
Let's
it.
do that, Brian. We'll put it for 11,
Okay,
And
and
then,
if it's early, we'll go right away.
that works.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to set that meeting for 11 a.m. on Tuesday, June 27th.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimous, so.
And the item that, Mr. Chair, that I petitioned on today has to do with a tax forfeit property in the city of Monticello. It's, we've been trying to get sentence to serve out there, but they've just been tied up with a lot of other projects, and now the city has started getting some complaints from neighbors. There's not a lot of junk left in the yard. Actually, sentence to service hit that once, either late last fall or early this spring, but there is quite a bit of debris, and, well, you see some photos there inside the house. And so we'd like to get moving on this as quickly as possible. I think the way the statute reads is that Bob can take care of these properties, clean up these tax forfeit properties with the authorization of the board. I think he's leaning towards scene clean, which is a little bit lower quote and seems to be more complete.
It does, their quote goes over everything.
But I guess I'd just like the board to authorize Bob to go ahead, and like I say, his his indication to me late last week was that he was going to go with Seam Clean on that.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to authorize Bob Hevela and his office to go ahead with the cleanup of 7 Fairway Drive in Monticello.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delighted. Brian, was this house was it rented or something, or how, or what?
Mr. Chair, actually, I remember doing some title work.
Yeah, we did this a while ago.
There was a mortgage foreclosure. There was a single person, a woman living there, I think with kids. She was going to lose the house. I think her parents rescued her, and so there was a mortgage in favor of the parents. The parents were notified when we started the tax forfeit process. They lived in another state, somewhere out east. No response from her. By the time we forfeited the property, she had already moved out. So I believe it was privately owned, but it just was in terrible shape.
Okay, anyway. All right, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Next up, Assistant County Attorney, Mr. Greg Kreiser. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For my item, you'll be acting in your capacity as the Drainage Authority for County Ditch 36. Late last week or middle of last week, our office was contacted by the Highway Department concerning County Ditch 36 flooding County State Aid Highway 75 up by Clearwater. As a result of that, we first reached out to the auditor's office to find out if we had as-built plans before we started excavating. Found out we did not have as-built plans for County Ditch 36, so proceeded with contacting Houston Engineering to see if we could try to expedite a survey crew at least going out there ahead of time to try to get a baseline borings and a survey before we started doing any digging or excavating out there. Houston Engineering gave us a proposal last week, came to a lump sum of $12,000, which staff feels is very reasonable for the work to be done on this project. The survey crew was actually out there yesterday with the authorization of Commissioner Vetch to go out there yesterday and do the work. We had the resolution before you to reestablish records for County Ditch 36 and the reestablishment records. And I gave you some photos that Houston Engineering emailed me late yesterday.
And we're going to be doing this, just so the board knows, we have quite a few of our county ditches that do need the records reestablished, so hopefully that this goes good and we can continue on, even in that
Mr.
thing
Chair.
and get a move, so, yes.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to reestablish records for County Road, or County Ditch 36.
Adopting the resolution.
Adopting the resolution, I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Commissioner Potter, you're up first.
Aye.
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 Resolution carries unanimous. Thank you.
Now can we ask for?
Oh, you know what? Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You want a discussion on that? I don't know.
I thought he told us enough, but go ahead, sorry.
Commissioner Delight, I'm happy to answer anything.
Oh, I just did it just to hear.
At least we're having fun on a Tuesday morning.
You must not have heard me ask for discussion, huh? Did
Have you
ask?
heard that the water then has receded then from 75?
It sounds as if it has a little bit.
Is this the picture here?
That is the picture of the problem.
And so this
location.
is the where that it was
Yes.
almost on 75?
It actually was on the shoulder.
Yeah, it looks like it's down quite a bit.
is.
Now.
Yeah. I got an initial report late yesterday from Houston Engineering. Our main concern, I can maybe bring this up.
Is that why he's got a boat behind his truck so he can?
Yeah, exactly. Nice boat. They didn't know they're being photographed.
I mean, which side was it?
This is, it looks a little bright here.
North side?
But this is where we thought the problem was. This ditch drains into Rice Lake right here at this location. We thought that this culvert was actually the problem, but Houston Engineering, at least in their initial review of it yesterday, late yesterday, around 5 o'clock, in their email, they weren't quite sure that this culvert was the problem.
Can you put this picture up?
Yeah.
Okay, so where was it flooding, on which side of the road?
Right here.
So it was on the outlet side then?
It was right there. is backing up right there.
So is it maybe trees down from the storm that kind of precipitated it?
It could be something up in,
Yeah, I noticed it looks like there are some trees that are down, if that's
Yeah.
the one picture.
they indicated it looked like there's a little bit of beaver activity in there that might have to be cleaned out, Houston thought, but
Yeah, because in this picture here, I'm assuming
We need 'em.
this is the picture that's by the trees, or,
Yep.
yeah, a little closer.
yeah, so there are a lot of trees down there, and then it goes through the woods by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's better.
So that'll be interesting to try and deal with.
I'm not sure what we're gonna do because we lost one of our, Mr. Swanson, one of our beaver
One of our beaver
trappers,
experts.
passed away.
Well, I
so-
bet Greg wears a lot of hats. He makes a great ditch coordinator. I bet he can be a great beaver hunter too.
You know, when we review the committee of the whole minutes for the ditch coordinator position, we'll be sure to add beaver trapping to it as well.
Full-time beaver trapping company.
That might up the points another couple hits though, Adia.
I do have one recommendation, though. That we don't let Greg handle dynamite.
No
Yeah.
dynamite for
I
him.
would agree.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, all right, we did vote on it already.
I do, Mr. Chair, I do need, sorry, we got sidetracked here. I do need to approve the resolution from Houston Engineering as well, and authorize signatures on the
Oh, we got
agreement.
two resolutions?
Authorize.
Mr. Chair, I will move to authorize Houston.
I'll second it.
And that is also a resolution, you said?
No, it's just a motion to
motion,
accept the
okay.
agreement for a signature.
Okay, is there any discussion on that, Commissioner Delyden? Okay.
Regarding what?
Okay, so, you know what, I did not catch it. Who made the motion?
I did.
Motion by Commissioner Hewson, second by
Commissioner Deloitte.
Commissioner Delyden, okay. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you, Board.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimous, thank you.
Maybe we should have Attorney Kaiser spend some time down in the bowels of the courthouse to do some more digging for maybe some of the...
Could save us some money if you could find these
You
records.
know, there's supposedly boxes yet that,
We haven't got to.
You know, and I think Auditor Treasurer Hevel probably pointed out, a lot of these things were, there were committees that, and those records ended up at somebody's home, then they passed away and the kids didn't see the value in them and tossed them, you know, that's probably what happened, so.
have we ever sent a letter out to any of the townships and asked them if they have them?
Be something we could bring up at quarterly office, at a quarterly meeting.
I think we need to make that part of the agenda.
Just
because
ask
if they
people
have
may
them.
have them and they just aren't.
or not.
Because somebody could have turned it into the township as well, yeah.
Well, in some of those township filing cabinets, it wouldn't surprise me if he's turned up some records.
Yeah. Good
You know,
point.
they may have copies of it. And then also maybe,
Could save
maybe
us.
there's some in the historical building too, I don't know.
Could save us some money. Okay, moving on, items for consideration. Commissioner Vetch, you did say you would do the committee of the
I
whole.
will happily do the committee of the whole. Committee of the whole met on Tuesday, June 13th, following the board meeting. Members present were Commissioner Burrell, Dahliden, Hewson, Potter, Vetch, and Kelly. Others present were Edmondson, Hagerty, Hevela, Hoffman, Chrysler, Mattice, and Pollock. Discussed, first item was the ditch coordinator position. Copy of the job description for the proposed agricultural drainage coordinator. Job description was distributed. Assistant County Attorney Greg Chrysler said that the county staff has staff who has recording records and administrative tasks related to the county ditches, as well as legal counsel and contracted drainage inspector. Auditor Treasurer Hevela oversees all aspects of the county ditches. Chrysler said that there is a need for someone to coordinate ditch matters and keep things moving forward. It was also discussed of the possible for liability exposure for not being able to manage records properly if we do not fill some of these gaps. Discussed ensuring, discussion ensued regarding which department should oversee the ditch coordinator position. Human Resource Representative Lori Pollock said she believes the ditch auditor treasurer's department is the correct place for the ditch coordinator at this time. As the position evolves, perhaps another department will be deemed more appropriate down the road. Assistant County Attorney Chrysler said that the proposed ditch coordinator position would be one full FTE. He suggested that the ditch inspector and the agricultural inspector report to the proposed ditch coordinator. Recommendations are referred to the Budget Committee to be included in the 2018 budget. Also discussed the lieutenant position backfilling for the retirement of Lieutenant Finley, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Sheriff Hagerty and Chief Deputy Hoffman presented the committee of the whole a revised new outlay of the work charts, which I think was very nice of them, that they created up a nice layout so we have a good cohesive understanding of the reporting matters for the entire Sheriff's Department. I commend them on giving us a good up-to-date with all the restructuring, so we have a good idea. Hoffman said the proposed lieutenant position would be served under the administrative captain. He said that the organizational charts provided show the hierarchy of who's reporting to this position. I think there was I didn't count again, I think there was like 8 different people that were reporting to that. Don't quote me on that, was something I'd have to recount it again. But the recommendation of the board was to fill this lieutenant position.
Okay. You want to make a motion to approve with the recommendations, Terry?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the recommendations.
I'll second it.
A motion made by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Line to approve the minutes with the recommendation. Further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Potter.
Just for the public to understand that with the ditch coordinator position, and I believe it's under statute, am I correct on that? We are obligated to maintain those ditch records for the public. So people that are asking, say, why do you need this? Why do you have to do this? Mr. Chair, Mr. Craig.
Well, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Potter, the Wright County Auditor is charged with the record keeping of the ditches. And the board seated here as the Drainage Authority is in charge of managing and overseeing all the expenses and repairs of those ditches.
So is it by law or by statute?
By statute.
By statute.
By statute. Yep.
Either way, it is our obligation.
Yes.
And our duty.
Yes.
To maintain these things.
Yes,
Just
it
I
is.
want to make sure that the public out there that's hearing this gets it, we're not just adding positions just for the sake of adding positions. This is something that these needed to be updated, and I want to commend Chair Commissioner Burrell. He made it a focal point of his running here that we're going to take care of the ditches, and I think we've been taking steps to take care of that. And let it be known that this ditch is not in Commissioner Burrell's district, and that Commissioner Delight has all his ditches in proper working order.
I do, and I hope that someday you guys will be in the same boat that I am.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Potter, I also want to go note for the record is that a percentage of this position will be funded by the beneficiaries as well. So that's also, it's not going out there to all of the taxpayers of the county are not on the hook for it, so.
Yeah, and then as you can tell by the earlier in the meeting today too, is that we have so many ditches that we can't find any documentation on, which we end up having to deal with.
Yep.
And in order to maintain them, we have to have that documentation, so it's very involved, unfortunately.
And Mr. Chair, members of the board, I think what happened last week is a perfect example of why we need a ditch coordinator position.
Correct.
We need better planning over the course of the long haul. And having something just pop up on a Wednesday afternoon, I mean, we are able to, react to it rather quickly, but I want to be proactive and not reactive in the future is how I see this department becoming. So I think this is a great planning process to try to get it more professionalizing, try to get in the front of the issues instead of always trying to play catch up.
And Mr. Chair, I don't believe that this board 5 years ago, was ready for this position. I think as we've gained knowledge on what exactly takes us, I think this is the next step. We've taken a few steps, but this is the next one to get in gear. 4 years ago, probably wouldn't have gone anywhere, but now it is the correct time for us to take that next step and get this.
I agree.
Get this going.
Yep.
I will make just a comment as well that it's our responsibility to maintain these ditches, not just when commodity prices are high, when when people want the ditches cleaned because the land is worth more money, the farm, crops are, but we have to maintain these through no matter what the economic times, and I know sometimes that's difficult for the farmers to be paying a special assessment to have a ditch maintained when times are tough, but we have to do it, and I guess the alternative would be if somebody wanted to disband the ditch, if they don't want to make
Right.
payments, but.
Just to help clarify for the public, when I first heard about public ditches,
County ditches, yeah.
I assumed the ditches along either side of the highway.
Right.
Which is
Right.
not
No.
what they are.
Not it.
No.
No, but what they are is a rural stormwater system.
Right.
It really is what it amounts to. So, and then it's our, like you say, our responsibility to maintain those. Just like the cities have to deal with their stormwaters, county has to take care of our stormwater systems. Correct.
Okay. All right. And further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Derek. And then Commissioner Hewsam, would you be able to do the Ways and Means Committee
Sure.
of June 14th?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Ways and Means Committee met on June 14th, 2017. Members present, Burrell, Houston, Lee Kelly, others present, Goodman Schwartz, Partlow, and Schumper. And the discussion was on the Health and Human Services fee schedule, and it's a little outdated. We got 5 different handouts, and you can refer to some of those, telling, the fee policies and procedures, their schedule, and the discussion was that they're taking a look at, it's been pretty involved and kind of cumbersome, and so they're looking at updating this. The original fees, policies and procedures is posted on the county website, and Schwartz would like to delete it as the document is dated and contains internal policies and practices rather than just the public information. So she directed attention to the new fee schedule form and said that this form will be much easier to maintain. Newer change fees are bolded and italicized. Some remarks in the descriptions column will be deleted as there are explanations for the meeting part of it. Regarding the guardianship fee of $35 per hour, Court Administrator Monica Schumper explained that there are probate guardianships and conservatorships appointed when a person is no longer able to care for themselves or manage their finances. The state statutes authorizes the county board to set the hourly fee guardians and conservators may charge. The court may decide to pay a guardian or conservator more than deemed appropriate. Schumper said $35 per hour is the average hourly fee billed by guardians and conservators over the last few years. And Schwartz pointed out that the mobile home reassessments line under the administration fees on the proposed fee schedule was increased from $60 to $200 because of a recent ordinance change. A new entry under the administrative fee section entitled Employee Costless Hourly Fees. Schwartz said occasionally Health and Human Service staff is subpoenaed, and these fees represent the hourly cost that's incurred by the county when staff is taken away from work by another entity. And she also said the Health and Human Services uses the federal poverty guidelines for many programs. These guidelines change every year and require annual updating. There'll also be a link to the Department of Human Services calculator to help families determine what their costs are for out-of-home placements based on their gross income. So it's a sliding fee. And the document copying line is going to be deleted because the information is already on the county website. That's under our fee schedules. So Schwartz also made a correction to the 72-hour hold and pre-commitment cost lines. The description should say actual cost and sliding fee schedule. The recommendation is that Schwartz will provide a revised fee schedule at the next Ways and Means Committee. We had a few little items that we needed to clean up. So, but yeah, this is a big step, and it was is going to be much less cumbersome, and we don't need the policies and procedures on the website, which they are now. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I will make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendation.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hewsam, and seconded by Commissioner Zaliden. I just wanted to point it out to the rest of the board, but the whole first part of that behind the thing was what used to be.
Yeah, it's only 30 pages.
Right,
I know.
and it will be down now to 1, 2, I think 3.
29 pages.
Three or 4 pages. So I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of that.
No,
And Commissioner Hewson did find a couple of errors on the new one, and that's what, we're going to make the corrections after that, so.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hewson, do you know, you may or may not know, do you know, does this schedule that we have there, this is just a copy of the Central Minnesota Mental Health Sliding Scale. Our scale is the same as theirs, correctly, I'm guessing, or maybe you don't know? I can ask Jamie too.
I can't remember, I don't remember.
Okay.
They go by state guidelines,
So
so,
they must be the same, I would imagine that our sliding fees would be the same as theirs, but.
yeah.
Does that mean you qualify for one of these sliding fee schedules?
why can't we, link to, if we're dealing with the federal poverty guidelines, why can't we just link to that? So when that changes, it automatically.
There was talk about that as well.
Yeah.
So, and I think
The
that might be.
the calculator is there, but here, Brian.
I must have said something illegal.
It's been a while, Mr. Chair, it's been a while since I've dealt with those, but my recollection is that some of the fee schedules or where you see an actual graph of sorts are set out in state administrative rules by DHS. So some of those are statewide. It depends on the program, though.
Thank you.
So very little of these sliding scales on there, or none of them are probably any that we developed. They're probably all ones that we get.
In that longer format of the fee schedule, yes, a lot of those are state mandated.
And we did talk about having a link to that schedule. So there was only a couple of them where it would say, like, to contact the Human Services Department to get a better price. But a lot of it you would go to the link at the state where they would have the scale.
Yeah.
The
So you'd be able
calculator,
to,
yeah.
yep, you'd be able to come up with what your fee would be, so.
Well, that's good with that calculator. That's,
Yeah.
every time we can use those tools, it makes it so much
does.
easier all the way
Yep.
around. For those that are dealing with stuff online.
But Commissioner Houston and I both felt it was a step in the right direction, and there's going to be a couple little hiccups, we know that, but I think we're going to work it out.
Yeah, but when you got 30 pages of
I know.
policies, there's got to be
No.
hiccups there too.
Well, I think people give up before they finally get to what they need, so this is, that's a good part too.
Okay, all right, thank you. So all in favor of the motion with the recommendations, the minutes approval with the recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, carries unanimous. Advisory Committee, Advisory Board updates. I'll open it up to whoever wants to begin.
All I have to say is myself and Commissioner Houston are continuing our training for the nuclear exercise this summer, but that's about all I had.
Yeah, I would just say that going forward, they were talking in terms of, if we ended up in a actual event, that we could be there, for an extended period of time, and that got me thinking that maybe we need another person on that committee as the substitute or the alternate, because you'd have to get relieved after 12 hours, so.
We have to put in our paperwork who our relief is, and as of right now, we don't even have a.
So, yeah. So anyway, that's probably something that just came up yesterday, but something that we should talk about at some point. But
Why do you have to be relieved after 12 hours?
well, they just suggest that. We can go for 24, 36, however long we have to, if we have to.
Lots of coffee.
Coffee only lasts for so long, yeah.
Commissioner Dahlin, you'd find all this training really interesting, though.
Yeah, you
Oh,
would.
I'm sure it would be.
It is.
I'm sure it would be.
Okay.
Anytime dealing with that sort of stuff.
Anything else, Derek?
No.
Okay.
Chair Burrell and myself, we went to our audit exit meeting on Thursday last week? Wednesday?
Thursday.
Thursday last week. Audit was good. We'll be getting more information. There was a couple of new things that they kind of dinged us on, but some of it was because of new regulations. And there were some things that every county in Minnesota gets dinged on.
Yeah.
Some of the things that have, they had dinged us on have already been resolved, just some updated. Some things weren't in policy, and they're going to be changing that. One of the things that we did ask is if the whole board, I mean, you'll be receiving this, if the whole board would like to have an audit exit meeting from the state auditors.
It would not be a big expense. I mean, they're
Yeah, it's a couple $100 or
couple
something.
$100. They said they would come out, and I thought it would be valuable. But Mark and I talked about it and said we're going to leave it up to you guys. So if you want somebody,
Since you've never experienced one.
Did they basically, a lot of the same things they brought up before, like our payroll barriers and stuff like that, the same stuff?
Yep, those sort of things.
And then the ditch funds. I mean, there's certain things that we get gigged on all the time. But I think there's some things though that I think the board and even with our county auditor where maybe we do need, there's maybe a couple things where we do need to have some other safeguards in there and maybe doing some mini audits, to make sure that, because sometimes it just got down to a person making an error, and then that messes things up, so whatever.
I would think maybe what we should do is wait for the audit to come out. You guys have a chance to review it.
And then make
Make a
decide
decision.
that.
If you want, we can do it. If not, we could just get together too with the auditor, county auditor, and have a discussion on it too, so. But,
Mr. Chair, I think Commissioner Deloitte has it right. Once the audit comes out, we have a chance to look at it, then we can make a decision.
Make a
whether we-
decision then.
I think that's fair.
That'd be fine.
that way it's a very good information that will eventually be published and stuff too. Last Thursday evening, I went to Water Management Task Force. We went and toured the iron filtration system down by Lake Martha.
Okay.
And it has a 17-acre watershed, I believe, that it filters.
Oh, wow.
And the phosphorus phosphorus removal will vary depending on a huge rainstorm. Will go anywhere from around 75 to about 95% removal. There was some water going through when we were there. They have a bypass, so in an event of a huge storm or something, but for the most part, it goes through the filter, just a matter of how long it stays in, go through the filter. It's kind of a neat little simple setup. They're going to be doing some soil tests of that iron filtration stuff to see how much has been used up. It was a project that was done in conjunction with the University of Minnesota, and we're not quite sure how long it's going to last, so they're going to do some soil samples to see how much that iron particularly has been used up and tied up with the phosphorus. But it was kind of a neat little system.
I thought I had that, I wanted to go to that. I thought I had it written on my calendar and I didn't.
I crossed it out.
Oh,
Mr. Chair?
yes, Commissioner. Pop.
In reference to Commissioner Deloitte, this was a tour that was put on by Soil and Water about 4 years ago. And we went and toured that, I'll say 3-4 years ago, and toured that one. And if I'm recalling, I think it was 7 to 10 year duration before you had to replace things. But the thing is it was a pilot project on Lake Martha, and if it worked out, it could be used on other lakes. It was concerned whether it would work on a bigger lake or not, or the watershed size, whatever. I mean, and we have a lot of candidates for other smaller lakes in this county that we could do this particular program on, and Dean Lake being one of them in my district. It's like, for this, we have nothing to lose by trying something like this, and the results of the phosphorus loading on that lake, the diminishing of the phosphorus, you can't turn your back on how much that's actually doing something. It's doing some good.
Now, there's a filtration system, a limestone filtration system that's going to be installed in between Summer and, what's the lake attached to Summer? Mink. Thank you. Between those two lakes, which is another type of filtration system. So it'll be very interesting to see how that holds up. There's some issues with iron filtration. It can't go anaerobic because it will re-release phosphorus. That's one of the concerns about it. Well, with lime, it doesn't. But then again, on how good a removal it'll be is still kind of up in the air, so. Moving forward, trying to get things done, just like in County Ditch 10, which goes into Lake Ann. Some of these things, maybe some things we can utilize in that ditch to help improve the water quality going to Lake Ann too.
Yeah, and ditch 10 has unique things, because the flow that goes through there, it's a 20,000 acre watershed. So I mean, the flow through there, you have to come up with some different things. So.
Well, but it's some theoretical things anyway.
Okay.
And I think that was, other than AIS, and we talked a little bit about the regional regional testing of boats before it goes into the lakes up in Sylvia,
Like
John, and Pleasant.
Pleasant, yep.
I forgot my notes. So.
You did pretty good.
Yeah, you did really well without
Real well.
notes.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so. Not
Okay.
that I can recall.
And last Wednesday, I was at St. Cloud for the Emergency Services Board meeting. We continually talk about the text to 911, and Commissioner Houston's up on that a little bit, but they're saying possibly the end of this year now, going out.
It's been a long
So
process.
we've heard that, the end of this year, next
Yeah.
June.
That came up the first year we were on the board, I think.
Yeah, don't hold your breath, but they are still working on it.
Yeah, it'll be great once it's implemented.
As long as they say the end of the year, instead of this
We're
year.
just not saying what year.
Right.
Yeah, end of a year.
Of some year.
And then just a quick update, Commissioner Houston and I met with the Soil and Water Board yesterday, and didn't really come to any real consensus on anything, so that will be back to discussion as far as we talked about some of the judgments, I guess, or that they've made, and kind of shared some of our upsets with them, and didn't really go too far. I think we had a good dialogue, I guess.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it at that.
It was a nice meeting, but.
Yeah. Okay, that was it for me.
All right. I was at the Meth Education and Drug Awareness meeting last Wednesday, and an update that they sent 4,000 cards to the juniors and seniors before prom, basically encouraging them not to use drugs and alcohol. And we also had John Young from Public Health was there, and he gave us a community health assessment update. And also, he was basically there because they're going to be getting money for the state for opioid use. And, was thinking that the two organizations would be a great partnership, to work together collaboratively in some way anyway.
Did you say use or abuse?
Any of it.
Well, I don't know.
I thought you said use. I was
Abuse and abuse.
Oh, yeah, abuse. So anyway, according to the health assessment poll in Wright County, the top three were obesity, lack of physical exercise, smoking, and other tobacco use, but closely followed by alcohol and drug use were 4 in 4 of the categories. So they call it use in this instance. But on the Community Health Board, they identified obesity, drug use, and mental health as the top 3 that they would be looking at. But if anyone wants to take a look at this later, this is some interesting information. And then I was at the State Health meeting on State Community Health Services Advisory Committee, SHAC, on Friday. And we got a lot of information between the legislative updates, what happened, and with the feds, they're getting some cuts, and so trying to figure out how to mitigate some of those things. But a couple of the things that people were happy with was the increased funding for home visiting. So a lot of people that can use some help and assistance if they've got somebody partnering with them to help them along, that is a positive thing for them. And they also, in 2015, they did a common entry point for reporting neglect or maltreatment, mostly in public entities, nursing homes and other places for any vulnerable adults reside. And they get about 1,500 complaints, which has increased quite a bit, people and agency self-reports. So they're looking at going from 27 investigators to 50, mostly nurses. They want to hire investigators and on-site investigators. In other words, they've got nurses out there, but they're looking at investigators who are trained in investigations would be perhaps a better person to send out. But they're also looking at efficiency and doing lean training. They had one of their forms or processes that would take 30 days, they've gotten down to 2 days. So that's a positive thing. Some of the health issues, syphilis is actually on the increase, and of course mumps is going up. We've got 67 cases in Minnesota, and also TB and multi-drug resistant TB. And they've also got this whole genome sequencing, so they can see if people contract TB, that if they got it from the same place, essentially. So, a lot of complex things that are going on out there. But so tons of information if you want to look at my notes, but they're extensive.
Mr. Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last week, we had the Extension Committee, and Commissioner Burrell was unable to attend. He had a conflict that night, but
You get a lot more accomplished?
it still went long.
Oh, okay.
We did talk about the fair coming up, and 4-H, they're seeing an uptick in people joining it, and their key is to keep them, after the first year, keep them there. They're seeing more interest in that, and the collaboration between 4-H Extension, the parks, everything else is starting to ramp up a little bit. So it's good that we announced the Farm Family of the Year today, which a long overdue honor for the Willard Kreitlow family. That gentleman's been rock solid for this county for as long as I've been here. So it's 1970.
Yeah.
And I remember he had a name from way back when.
Yeah, well, he was involved in water and the
Right.
Parks Department. Yeah, he's very, very involved in the county.
So that was a well-deserved honor for that gentleman and his family. The other thing we discussed is the 4-H building, the food building out there. That was old when I was in 4-H and serving. And I know Commissioner Burrell went out to, was it Meeker County or McLeod? Meeker County looked at their building to see what they did and what process is. We need to do something with that building, because one day the health inspector is not going to approve us using that, and we need to be a little more proactive on that. So that's something that's going to come up discussion at the budget time, maybe put on the capital improvement program for somewhere down the road. I know there's a little resistance with those in the Fair Board with that, but the county does own the land and we own the buildings. And I think we need to, that's one building that definitely needs to be freshened up. It's probably, it's amongst the handful of the oldest buildings in there. And the grandstand, that one circular barn where they used to have their offices for the fair is older. But this one, I think there's an opportunity for us to redo that and make it so it can actually expand and make it better, so you more opportunities to use that. I mean, one of the things that came up is if you had the 4-H, the food stand there, and it was made more multi-purpose, you could do some of that SNAP education out in that part of the county instead of everybody coming up to Buffalo. You could make it so it has more use, so we get more than just 4 days a year out of it. I mean, it's just something that's going to come up for discussion, budget time, and in the September extension meeting, it'll going to fruition. Now, hopefully, we can get the fair board members after the fair to come and let them know that what our vision, our thoughts are. So instead of having resistance to it, we can see how can we make this better, because we have a pretty darn good fair in this state, and I just want to keep it that way.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day about the Hennepin County Fair, which was,
Last weekend, I think, I saw the sign.
they say they hardly get very many people there at all.
Only like 3 days, which is surprising for that large of a county.
It's out in the middle of Timbuktu.
Yeah, they say the Wright County Fair is far superior than the Hennepin County Fair.
And we have quite a few Hennepin County people that come to our fair every single year because they do like what we have to offer here. The other thing, Mr. Chair, on Friday I met with the 7W Policy Committee up in St. Cloud, and we went through some of the legislative updates and the federal updates that we're hoping for. The feds is talking about infrastructure, but being that Elaine Cho from the Secretary of Transportation, the Senate has been obstructing her being able to assemble a full staff, so that's kind of keeping some of the federal things from happening. You really can't go forward until you're fully staffed up. So that's a concern. Hopefully they'll get past that and going forward. And then we did the 2018 through 2023 forecast out there because we got a little bit more money from the state and then some of those programs fit in there. Wright County, and this is a credit to Virgil and how he lobbies and gets this thing going, we still fare very well when it comes to projects in our county. I mean, a couple of the other counties within that region complain, but when I do it based on engineering metrics, we do real well. The bridge over County Road 19 and 94, they've, from my time on the board, they've changed that. It was 2025 for a while, and that went down to 2021. And now it's 2022 is when it's dialed in solid to 2022, and that's getting replaced. There's other projects within here, other parts of the county that are in there already, and other candidates will be coming forward when the federal allotment comes in. Then they can kind of dial in the rest of them, and other ones, when the projects come in under budget, under what they did, they take the next ones on the list, and we have a few of them, the projects that have been, for lack of a better word, the bridesmaid on the list, and maybe the next couple of years we'll get a couple more of those, but it's looking favorable for Wright County for the next round of solicitations for this.
Good. Thank you. Anything else to come before the board? Anything from our crowd out there?
Sellout crowd?
The sellout crowd? Okay.
We got to raise our ticket prices.
We will adjourn at 9:59.